Lads, lasses, people with glasses, and of course, all of those in between. My name, in case you didn't already know, is Dexter, and today I'm doing a video that could rustle some jimmies. I'm not gonna lie, it probably will. I want to do this as a quick way, or quicker way, of having to keep typing stuff out. Instead, I can just share this video, and it's my part's done in a matter of seconds. So. As you've seen from the title, it is Paintball Truths for Airsoft. Oh, toot. Yeah, so Paintball Truths for an Airsofter, or for Airsoft. So I've got a little drink to help me through this, and let's get into it. So, a while back, you may or may not have seen the video. I'll try and share it in the video. I'll share it at the end, or I may put it in now. I don't know. But you may or may not have seen my video where I went and tried Airsoft, and I thought it was a good laugh. It seemed like a good day out, and it was relatively cheap. I'll get that later. It was relatively cheap, and I thought, yeah, this was all right. I'll join a few groups on Facebook, see what the general crack is, maybe learn a little bit of something about Airsoft, maybe get involved in a couple of conversations, because there's some things that transfer over between Airsoft and Paintball, and Paintball back to Airsoft. I'm not sure if I've just mixed that up and said that twice. So anyway, yeah, I joined a couple of groups, and since I joined the groups, I keep seeing a recurring theme. Now, this is absolutely fine. It happens the other way around as well, but it's airsofters digging into paintball. Like I said, absolutely fine. Have at it. I'm not fussed. But what does annoy us is misinformation. I'm not a huge fan of misinformation, and I try to avoid sharing it myself whenever I can. And even on the paintball side, if I see people talking shit about airsoft and it's not true, I'll try and correct them. It's just a character flaw I have. But when I do this on the Airsoft side, or when I see these chats on the Airsoft side, it's surprising just how much they think they know, but don't, or at least don't let on that they know. And I think that's partly because the majority of people, regardless of Airsoft or non sort of player at all, they either think of this, which is rental paintball, or they think of this, which is tournament paintball. But there is also this, and this. And that is geese flying over my house. So yeah, within paintball, there is actually a big community of people that are into realism. You know, like realistic milsim, whatever you want to call it, you know, simulation, whatever. And these guys generally fall within the MagFed community, which is a community of people that play predominantly using magazine-fed markers, just the same as Airsoft. So when you get airsofters that come out and they'll talk about, you know, oh, the guns don't look realistic or what have you, that's because predominantly paintball is played by people who don't care about realism. So arguing that it's not realistic, well, for the most part, nobody cares about realism within paintball. They're playing a game where they get to shoot their mates without going to jail or without getting, you know, like shot and killed themselves. And that's the end of it for them. It just happens that one side is predominantly realistic, the other side isn't. But as I said, you do actually have quite a large community within the paintball community that are into like realism. Just like you have a relatively small community within the airsoft community that isn't into realism. You know, you're speed softers. So I've done a bit of research, and I wanted to kind of point out the majority of these sort of talking points. So we'll start off with ammo. One that keeps coming up over and over and over and over again is ammo. you know, the cost of the game to play. And it's always, paintball is so expensive, and it's like, well, it is more expensive. Unfortunately, what a lot of people in these threads within airsoft pages generally talk about is their experience of paintball is sites like rental sites. I don't want to name names in case I get sued. So their experience is rental sites. Now, rental sites are going to cost more money because it's like going to a pub. You know, you walk into a pub and a pint will cost you £5. Or you can go to your local shop and buy 4 cans for £4. And that'll probably date this video. So there's that already, you know, mounts the price up. But if you go to a site like what we call walk-ons, what would just be a normal day's airsofting, I suppose, the price obviously drops significantly. You go from paying £120 for a box of paint down to an average of around about 30, depending on what kind of paint you want. And in a box you get 2,000 balls. Now that leads me on to the second part of this. The reason that airsoft is cheaper when it comes to ammunition is because you are getting less product. It's as simple as that. I'm going to have to cover the lid of this. I've got a couple of props here. But when I went and played that day's airsoft, you know, back end of last year, I think it was like this time last year, I bought some extra ammo. And it came in a pop bottle. Oh, I'll have to turn that away from the green screen, otherwise it'll go mental. And that is around about 1,500 balls in there. This was a 3,000 round bottle, and it cost me about £7. This is a 100 and roughly 50 round pod that paintballers generally carry that sort of ammunition in, and that excludes MagFed. MagFed carry their paint in magazines, but average paintballers carry these. Now that is roughly around about 150 rounds, because the protopods hold a little bit more. Average, it's around about 140. But as a side-by-side comparison, more product, less product. It's very, very simple. Now, if all you're interested in is price, yeah, go play airsoft. You know, if you're interested in realism and all you care about is price, go play airsoft. I can't fault you on that. I would rather you played paintball because that's what I play and I want to be able to shoot more people. But I just can't fault you on that. Now, looking at prices, bringing this up, for the majority of this video, I've used, for the majority of my research, I used Fat Bob's Paintball. Now, I'm not affiliated with that shop in any way. I just know that they do both airsoft and paintball, so that's why I've used them. Thought that I could use like a side-by-side comparison to an extent. So, looking at Vulcan ball bearings, you can buy 2,000 for £4.87. You can buy 2,500 for £5.95, or for, I think it's a slightly heavier ball bearing, £6.44. I think it's £6.44. Yeah, £6.44. Now, obviously, there is other brands, all that sort of stuff, but that was just a quick snap that I've brought off there that I thought I could pop up and give you an idea. For paint, I've done the same thing again. I've looked at, I think it's mostly GI paint here. There's 3 different types of paint there, 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star. Obviously, the higher star you go, the better quality the paint. But that will cost you anywhere from £30, 60 pence, up to £36 flat. Now, that is roughly average pricing for paintball, at least for reasonably good paint. You can sometimes buy paint a little bit cheaper, and there's also paint that goes for a hell of a lot more. Just kind of the same as airsoft ball bearings. There's some that costs you next to nothing because it is crap and will bust, and you know, if you're wearing mesh goggles, runs a risk of going through your goggles and into your eyes. And on the other side of it, you have cheap naff paintball. Sorry, you've got your good stuff that is, you know, heavier and blah blah blah. When it comes to paintball, you've got your cheap naff stuff that won't break when it hits you, and at the other end, you've got your stuff that is very, very brittle and bursts incredibly easy. It just depends on how much money you're prepared to put into your ammunition. So the next one that I want to get into is guns. And it's a relatively simple one. Looking at Airsoft, you have guns that will cost you anywhere from, and again I've used Fat Bobs for this, guns that will cost you anywhere from £65 up to £369.95, and that is just on the Fat Bobs site. When I looked externally on, and I believe it was Airsoft World that I used for this, the most expensive rifle type thing that I could find on there was £1,495.95, and I don't know much about that other than the fact that that was how much it was. The screen capture, it'll go on the screen obviously, and you can go and look at that up for yourself if you want to, if you don't trust us. Now, I don't know if that's with any externals, or with any internal modifications or anything like that. I'm assuming it's not. It's just straight off the shelf. Right, now looking at paintball, you again, using Fat Bobs, you can get a marker that you can take out and use it on a day's play for as little as £74.95, all the way up to £1,730, and that is for very, very high-end tournament gun versus very, very bottom-end gun that will probably break after a couple of times of using it. When you actually look at it like that, and of course there's price, there's everything in between those two extremes, and you don't need to spend. I don't think I've ever spent more than £300 for a paintball gun that has been fantastic. And that's, of course, my experience. Now, the one that a lot of airsofters will use as a sort of jab at paintball, and I think I touched on this earlier on the video, I've got a very bad memory, but paintball's not realistic. Now, I know I showed a couple of pictures of paintball as looking realistic, but just like Airsoft has sniper rifles, shotguns, pistols, what else? Sniper rifles, shotguns, pistols, assault rifles, all that sort of stuff. Paintball has the same. We've got sniper rifles, shotguns, pistols, and assault rifles. Just the same. Again, it just so happens that paintball is predominantly not realistic and Airsoft is predominantly realistic. But I think that is almost it. The one last thing that I can touch on is range. And because I'm not an Airsofter, because I'm not an Airsofter, I can't really give a really in-depth sort of look into this. But looking at it, I had a quick look around online, and feel free to correct us if I'm actually wrong on this bit. But it seems that around about a little over 300 feet or 100 yards is around about maximum range for like sniper rifles. Now again, feel free to correct us on that. I suppose if you crank the velocity up or you're using a heavier ball bearing, you can probably shoot further, but it seems like effective sort of range is around about 100 yards. And at least that, maybe it's accurate. Yeah, so I suppose effective range. Now looking up paintball effectiveness, I found a link to a site on called PB Nation where they did some in-depth testing of paintballs versus first strikes. First strike are a specialised sniper round predominantly. Now, the effective range of a paintball is somewhere roughly 150 feet or less. So it's about half of what the sniper rifle can do in Airsoft. On the other side of it, if you use first strike rounds, which are, as I said, they're sort of more like towards a dedicated sniper round, because obviously you fire a lot less of them and they travel a lot further and a lot more accurate. First strike can travel around about 400 feet. So you're outstripping the sniper rifles there from Airsoft. So ultimately, range, paintball can beat you, but in general, Airsoft actually has paintball when it comes down to range. So ultimately, once I've put all that out there, it's totally up to you what you decide you want to play. And if you want to stick with Airsoft, that's absolutely fine. I'm not here to convince you to try and play paintball. I just wanted to set the record straight, and I hope that I've done that. So, thanks very much, and to the outro. Hi guys, thanks very much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to, again, do whatever the hell you want, because you're going to anyway. And if you did enjoy the video, you can click over here to see the previous video, and over here to see a random video. Hope you enjoy them, and I shall see you next time.